The silence on the bridge stretched uncomfortably as Ambassador Zextrol's translucent membranes continued their rapid flickering. Admiral Chen cleared her throat, nodding to her executive officer to continue the tour. Perhaps we should move to our hydroponics section. Our cultivation techniques might interest your biological specialists. But Zextrol remained rooted in place, his four-fingered hand hovering over the tactical display. These smaller vessels, he said, indicating the destroyer-class ships flanking the Resolute in the holographic projection, their primary systems are all designed for offensive action, for defense of Earth and her colonies. Chen corrected carefully, watching the alien delegation's body language. The training for first contact scenarios hadn't prepared her for this specific cultural misunderstanding. Humanity has faced its own internal conflicts. Our military exists to protect, not to conquer. The tallest of the alien entourage, a willowy being with opalescent skin that strategic intelligence had identified as Science Director Koresh, stepped forward. Your species developed these technologies to use against yourselves. The translator rendered her tone as horrified fascination. Lieutenant Hawthorne shifted uncomfortably beside Chen. Permission to speak freely, Admiral. Chen nodded slightly. With respect, ambassadors, humanity's history has been shaped by competition and conflict. These experiences led us to develop technologies that, yes, can cause destruction. But they've also driven our rapid advancement in medicine, space travel, and even agriculture. Hawthorne gestured toward the viewport where Earth glowed blue and serene. The same ingenuity that built these ships also transformed our world from warring nations to unified colonies reaching to the stars. Zextrol exchanged complex patterns of light with his colleagues through their neural links, communications the human translators couldn't decipher. Finally, he turned back to Chen. We request immediate communication with our council. This development requires consultation. Of course, Chen agreed, maintaining her diplomatic composure despite the sinking feeling in her stomach. Lieutenant Zhang will escort you to our communication hub. It's been configured to match your quantum frequencies. As the alien delegation followed Zhang from the bridge, Hawthorne stepped closer to Chen. That went about as well as a torpedo in a swimming pool, Admiral. It could be worse, Chen muttered, watching the delegation's retreat on the security feed. At least they didn't flee immediately. Should we alert Earth Command? Chen considered this, her eyes still fixed on the aliens' stiff postures. Not yet. Let's see what their council says. Meanwhile, have strategic intelligence compile everything we have on their cultural references to warfare or conflict. There must be some common ground we can find. The ship's AI chimed softly, indicating an incoming transmission from Earth Central Command. Chen sighed. And have the diplomatic team prepare alternative first contact scenarios. If they find our warships disturbing, wait until they learn about our history. Outside the viewport, the crystalline alien vessel shimmered in Earth's reflected light. Its elegant curves and translucent materials contained no visible weapons or defensive systems, a civilization that had evolved beyond warfare, encountering one that had been forged by it. The UDF Resolute maintained its position, a steel guardian beside the alien envoy, two approaches to existence meeting in the stars. And as Chen watched the alien vessel begin to pulse with new patterns of light, she knew humanity's first step into the galactic community would be far more complicated than anyone had imagined. Lieutenant Hawthorne's intelligence team worked frantically in the Resolute's secure communication hub, processing the intercepted coalition transmissions. His fingers flew across the holographic interface as he isolated key data packets. They're using a quantum encryption we've never seen before, but their emotional signifiers are leaking through their neural network, Hawthorne explained to Admiral Chen. The council is split. 3 factions have emerged: those who want immediate quarantine protocols, those who propose further study of our species, and a smaller group advocating for learning from us. Chen raised an eyebrow. Learning our warfare techniques. Exactly. Hawthorne pulled up a translation matrix. This faction leader, Nexus diplomat Killeth is arguing that the Coalition has grown complacent. They've encountered something out there that frightens them, something their defensive technologies can't handle. Outside the conference room, the Coalition delegation waited, their azure skin displaying rippling patterns of anxiety. Ambassador Zextroll paced the length of the observation deck, gazing at Earth below. Chen straightened her uniform. Options, Lieutenant. Honesty might be our only play, Admiral. Their neural networks respond to emotional authenticity. They'll detect calculated diplomacy. So we tell them we're dangerous, but we're the kind of dangerous they might need. Chen smiled grimly. Let's hope they see the distinction. When they re-entered the conference room, Chen did something unexpected. She dismissed the Coalition's diplomatic attaches and requested a private meeting with only Ambassador Zextroll and Science Director Koresh. The Coalition Council is voting on whether to quarantine Earth, Chen stated, watching their reaction. The alien skin patterns shifted to patterns of alarm. Yes, we intercepted your transmissions. Another thing your species might find disturbing about humans, we're naturally suspicious. Zextroll's translator struggled to keep up with his rapid response. This confirms the concerns of many council members. Or it confirms why you need us. Chen interrupted, pulling up Earth's historical archives on the display table. Images of human warfare throughout history flashed by. Ancient armies, world wars, the lunar conflict of 2089. Humanity has spent millennia trying to kill itself. Ambassador, we've become very good at identifying threats and neutralizing them. Whatever is happening at the edge of Coalition space. Yes, we intercepted that too. Has you terrified? Koresh's opalescent skin darkened. You misunderstand. We are not afraid for ourselves. We fear what introducing a species with your instincts might do to galactic stability. Hawthorne stepped forward, displaying data from the Coalition's own archives. Your species has maintained peace for 15 millennia. Impressive. But peace through isolation isn't the same as security. He highlighted regions of disappeared stars along the Coalition's outer territories. Something is consuming entire systems, and your defensive barriers aren't stopping it. The two aliens exchanged neural patterns too rapid for the translators to follow. Finally, Zextroll turned to Chen. The quarantine vote will conclude in 6 hours, he said. If Earth is to avoid isolation, you must prove that your warships and the mentality behind them can serve creation rather than destruction. Chen nodded slowly. Then I suggest we begin preparations, because proving our value typically involves demonstrations, and I suspect we're running out of time. As if responding to her words, the Resolute's alert system activated. Lieutenant Zhang's voice came through the comm. Admiral, we're detecting a massive solar prominence forming. Earth's magnetic shields will hold, but the Coalition vessel's position puts it directly in the ejection path. Chen locked eyes with Zextroll. It seems your test just arrived, Ambassador. The Resolute's Combat Information Center transformed into a flurry of coordinated chaos as tactical officers rushed to their stations. Lieutenant Zhang projected the solar prominence data onto the main display, the massive plasma ejection rendered in ominous red and orange. Impact in 8 minutes, 47 seconds, Zhang announced. The Coalition vessel's shields are designed for cosmic radiation and micrometeorite deflection, not direct plasma ejection of this magnitude. Admiral Chen turned to Ambassador Zextroll and Science Director Koresh, whose skin had paled to an almost translucent white. Your vessel's engines require a 12-minute startup sequence. We don't have that kind of time. Our people, Koresh began, her translator struggling to convey the depth of her distress. Will survive, Chen finished firmly. Lieutenant Hawthorne, status of our solar buffer satellites. Deploying now, Admiral. 4 units optimal, but we only have time to position 3. Chen nodded. It'll have to do. Navigation. Calculate precise positioning to place the Resolute between the Coalition vessel and the incoming flare. Weapons control. Reconfigure point defense systems for plasma dispersal. Zextrol stepped forward, his compound eyes fixed on the tactical display. You're positioning your vessel as a shield. The heat alone will compromise your hull integrity. That's why we're not just going to take the hit, Chen explained, moving to the weapons station. Commander Rivera, show our guests how Earth's weapons can serve purposes beyond destruction. Rivera's fingers danced across her console, bringing up schematics of the Resolute's point defense array. Our kinetic barrier system was designed to intercept incoming missiles and projectiles. We're reconfiguring it to create a dispersal field that will scatter the plasma. The alien diplomats watched in silence as the human crew executed their orders with practiced efficiency. On the view screen, 3 satellite units moved into position, their energy fields combining to create a partial barrier. Buffer satellites at maximum capacity, Hawthorne reported. They'll absorb approximately 60% of the ejection. The rest is coming straight for us in the Coalition vessel. All hands, brace for impact, Chen ordered over the ship-wide comm. Divert auxiliary power to forward shields and cooling systems. As the solar prominence reached its peak, a massive tongue of plasma erupted from the sun's surface. The buffer satellites glowed bright blue as they absorbed the first wave, their fields straining visibly before the first one overloaded in a flash of light. 30 seconds to impact, John called out. Remaining buffers at critical levels. Chen turned to the Coalition representatives. You might want to hold onto something. The view screen polarized to maximum as the plasma wave struck. The Resolute's modified point defense system activated, creating a complex lattice of energy fields that fractured the incoming plasma into smaller, more manageable streams. The ship shuddered violently as superheated particles battered against its shields. Hull temperature rising, Rivera reported calmly. Sections 3 through 7 approaching thermal tolerance. Dispersal field holding at 82% efficiency. For 3 excruciating minutes, the Resolute weathered the solar storm. Its weapons systems, designed for war, now repurposed as tools of protection. When the last of the plasma ejection passed, the bridge fell quiet except for the hiss of emergency cooling systems. Damage report, Chen ordered, straightening her uniform. Minor hull breaches on decks 5 and 6, automatically sealed, John responded. No casualties. Engineering reports drive systems functional, but requiring maintenance before any high-velocity maneuvers. Chen turned to find Ambassador Zextrol standing beside her command chair. The alien diplomat had deactivated his translator. Slowly, deliberately, he placed a 4-fingered hand over his chest, where his primary heart analog resided, then extended it toward the Admiral in a gesture that required no translation. Your vessel, Koresh said quietly, her translator functioning again, was designed for war, yet you used it to preserve life at risk to yourselves. That's the point your council is missing. Director, Chen replied. Humanity doesn't build warships because we love destruction. We build them because we understand that sometimes protection requires more than barriers. Lieutenant Hawthorne's analysis team worked in focused silence as they processed the harvester footage. The Coalition Medical Bay's advanced holographic systems provided unprecedented clarity, allowing them to view the crystalline entities from every angle. They're not random, Hawthorne muttered, highlighting a sequence showing the harvesters dismantling an orbital station. Look at the formation shifts when they encounter resistance. There's clear tactical adjustment. Admiral Chen studied the patterns, her years of combat experience recognizing what the peace-oriented coalition had missed. They're using a pincer maneuver here, and this is classic flanking. These aren't mindless consumers. Someone or something is directing them. Ambassador Zextrol's skin rippled with distress patterns. Our scientists believe them to be merely complex autonomous systems, driven by resource acquisition algorithms. Your people have never needed to understand battlefield tactics, Chen replied, not unkindly. You see chaos where we see strategy. That's why you couldn't counter them effectively. Science Director Tilan approached with fresh sensor data displayed on a crystalline tablet. Admiral, We've completed our scan of the solar system. The Harvester Scout vessel appears to be holding position just beyond Neptune's orbit. Chen straightened immediately. Can your sensors give us its exact configuration? Better than that, Tilana replied, expanding the display. We've managed to intercept fragments of its transmission burst. The holographic display shifted to show a complex lattice of crystalline code structures. Hawthorne immediately called over communications specialist Patel, whose expertise in xenolinguistics had proven invaluable during first contact. It's not just data, Patel said after a moment, her fingers manipulating the symbols. There's a clear syntax structure. This isn't machine code, it's language. Can you decode it? Chen asked. Patel shook her head. Not completely, but this recurring pattern here. She highlighted a cluster of geometric shapes. Appears whenever the scout references Earth. The surrounding context suggests prioritization. They're making us a priority target, Hawthorne asked. No, Ambassador Zextroll interjected, his compound eyes fixed on the symbols. Our linguists encountered similar patterns in abandoned harvester communication nodes. This indicates high-level threat assessment. The realization swept through the room like a cold wind. Chen voiced what everyone was thinking. They're afraid of us. Tilana's opalescent skin pulsed with confusion. That makes no logical sense. The harvesters have consumed 12 star systems within our knowledge. Your civilization has barely achieved interstellar travel. But we've achieved something else, Chen said, gesturing to the tactical displays showing Earth's defense fleet. We've mastered offensive warfare in ways your species never needed to. The harvesters recognize that as a threat. Hawthorne suddenly straightened, his attention caught by a pattern in the transmission data. Admiral, look at the timestamp on this scout's arrival in our system. According to this, they'd been observing Earth for. He double-checked his calculation. Nearly 3 centuries. Since our Industrial Revolution, Chen realized. They've been watching our technological development, specifically our weapons development. Ambassador Zextroll exchanged complex neural patterns with Tilana before turning back to the humans. Your assessment has uncomfortable implications. If the harvesters fear human military capability, then perhaps the Coalition Council's concern about your warships was misguided. More than misguided, Chen replied, her gaze returning to the holographic display of blacked-out star systems. If these harvesters have been monitoring Earth specifically because of our military development, then humanity's warships may be exactly what the galaxy needs. The ship's alert system chimed softly. Admiral, Lieutenant Zhang's voice came through the comm. The Harvester Scout is moving. It's accelerating toward Earth at tremendous speed. Chen's expression hardened. Looks like we're about to make first contact with a second alien species. Only this one already considers us enemies. The UDF Resolute's Combat Information Center transformed into a fusion of human military precision and alien technological brilliance. Coalition engineers worked alongside human weapons specialists, their earlier horror at humanity's warfare capacity now replaced by focused collaboration. Admiral Chen studied the tactical display showing Neptune's orbital path, where the small squadron of Earth warships maintained formation against the approaching Harvester Scout. Ambassador Zextroll hovered beside her, his compound eyes taking in the practiced movements of the human crew. Your officers show no fear, he observed, neural patterns flickering with something approximating admiration. They face an unknown entity of superior technology, yet they proceed with certainty. It's not certainty, Chen corrected, watching as Lieutenant Hawthorne coordinated with Coalition sensor specialists. It's training. Humans prepare for worst-case scenarios so extensively that when they arrive, we've already lived through them in simulation. The Coalition vessel maintained position slightly behind the human warships, its advanced sensors providing unprecedented detail on the Harvester Scout structure. Science Director Tilana's voice came through the communications array, her normally melodic tones clipped with urgency. Admiral Chen, We've identified what appear to be energy collection arrays along the harvester's forward section. They're configured to absorb directed energy weapons. Chen nodded grimly. Exactly what we suspected. Lieutenant Hawthorne, prepare kinetic strike packages. Railguns only. No energy weapons. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency, loading the massive electromagnetic railguns that had initially horrified the Coalition representatives. Commander Rivera approached with a tactical overlay. We've integrated the Coalition sensor data with our targeting systems, she reported. Their analysis suggests these nodes. She highlighted geometric points along the crystalline vessel structure, serve as primary coordination centers. Focus fire on those points, Chen ordered. Inform all vessels. Precision strikes only. We want to disable, not destroy if possible. Ambassador Zextrol's translator struggled to keep pace with his rapid question. You would show restraint, even against an entity that threatens your world. Knowledge is a weapon too, Ambassador, Chen replied without taking her eyes from the tactical display. If we can capture this scout intact enough for study, we gain an advantage against the main harvester force. The next 20 minutes unfolded with tense precision. As the harvester scout approached, it deployed crystalline projections that the Coalition sensors identified as weapons arrays. The human vessels executed a complex maneuver pattern that Lieutenant Hawthorne had developed specifically to counter the harvester's expected tactics. They're attempting to target our propulsion systems, Rivera reported as the first energy pulses lanced out from the harvester, exactly as the lieutenant predicted. The UDF Thunder and Lightning, flanking destroyer-class vessels, executed a perfect pincer movement while the harvester focused on the Resolute. Their railguns fired in synchronized sequence, launching hypervelocity tungsten projectiles at precise geometric nodes on the crystal ship structure. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The harvester scout's coordinated movements became erratic, its weapon systems firing in random patterns as the kinetic impacts shattered its command nodes. Direct hit on primary coordination nexus, Hawthorne called out, unable to hide the satisfaction in his voice. Their adaptive shields were configured for energy weapons, not physical impact. Ambassador Zextrol watched in astonishment as the human vessels continued their coordinated attack, systematically disabling the harvester's offensive capabilities without destroying the vessel itself. Your people fight with elegance, he said finally. The Coalition always believed warfare was merely brutality given purpose. But this. He gestured to the tactical display showing the complex ballet of human ships outmaneuvering a technologically superior opponent. This is something else entirely. Chen allowed herself a small smile. War is humanity's oldest art form, Ambassador. We've had thousands of years to perfect it. She turned to Communications Officer Paddle. Inform all vessels. Prepare boarding parties. It's time to learn exactly what we're dealing with. Earth's Sydney spaceport buzzed with unprecedented activity as Coalition specialists disembarked from their shuttles. Admiral Chen watched from the command tower as the azure-skinned visitors paused at the sight of the massive orbital defense platform under construction in the bay. They still flinch when they see our weapon systems, Lieutenant Hawthorne observed, standing at her side. Old habits, Chen replied. Remember how you reacted the first time you saw their neural link technology? Cultural shock works both ways. The past 3 weeks had transformed Earth into the focal point of a remarkable exchange. The examination of the captured Harvester Scout had revealed technological principles that baffled even the Coalition's Advanced Science Division. In return for sharing this discovery, Earth had opened its military archives to Coalition study. In the Central Research Facility below, Catal led a team of cynobiologists studying human neurological responses. The Coalition scientists' opalescent skin rippled with fascination as military cadets ran combat simulations. The neural pathways you activate during threat assessment are entirely different from ours, Catal explained to Commander Rivera. When confronted with danger, our species instinctively seeks consensus and defensive positioning. Your brains immediately calculate offensive options and resource allocation for counterattack. Rivera nodded. Predatory ancestry versus collective evolution. Different paths to sentience. Across the facility, human engineers examined the crystalline components salvaged from the Harvester Scout. The alien technology operated on principles that defied conventional physics, converting matter directly into energy without the inefficiencies of nuclear reactions. We could revolutionize our propulsion systems with this, Engineering Chief Patel remarked to Ambassador Zextrol. One small fragment contains enough potential energy to power a destroyer-class vessel for months. And you immediately consider its applications for your warships, Zextrol noted without judgment. Patel smiled slightly. Actually, my first thought was sustainable energy for Earth's remaining climate restoration projects. The military application was my second thought. The ambassador's compound eyes blinked in the pattern humans had learned indicated surprise. In the tactical center, Lieutenant Hawthorne's breakthrough came during the third consecutive night of studying Harvester communication patterns. Coalition linguistics experts had struggled with the crystalline language structure, but Hawthorne approached it differently, as a military code rather than a conventional language. It's not about what they're saying, he explained to the assembled team of human and coalition specialists. It's about what they're coordinating. His display showed the complex geometric patterns from the Harvester transmissions alongside ancient Earth military signals. The Harvesters use positional mathematics to coordinate attacks, similar to naval flag signals from Earth's 18th century. They're not just communicating, they're issuing battlefield commands. Science Director Tilana's skin darkened with concern. If these are indeed military commands, then the transmission patterns we've detected from the star KIC 7739 indicate a gathering fleet, Hawthorne confirmed grimly. And based on the transmission density, it's massive. Admiral Chen studied the star map showing KIC 7739, just 30 light-years from Earth. How long until they could reach us? At their observed travel velocity, 8 months. Tilana replied. Perhaps less if they've improved their propulsion technology. The room fell silent as the implications settled. 8 months to prepare for an invasion by entities that had already consumed 12 star systems. Ambassador Zextrol broke the silence. The Coalition Council has voted unanimously to provide Earth with our most advanced defensive technologies. In return, we'll teach you how to fight, Chen finished, starting with the UDF Defiance. On the main view screen, the skeletal structure of the new vessel appeared. Humanity's most advanced warship, now being enhanced with Coalition technology. Its weapon systems remain distinctly human, but its sensors, shields, and navigation systems incorporated alien principles that would have been unimaginable months earlier. The Harvesters expected to find a primitive civilization protected by a pacifist alliance, Chen said, studying the vessel's schematics. Instead, they'll face something neither of us could have created alone. The combined battle group emerged from faster-than-light travel at the calculated safe distance from the Harvester central node. Admiral Chen stood on the bridge of the UDF Defiance, the view screen showing the dying star surrounded by a spectacular crystalline structure, the Harvester's central command hub. Magnificent and terrible, Ambassador Zextrol whispered beside her. In the 6 months since their first encounter, the ambassador had insisted on joining the mission despite the Coalition Council's objections. To think they've built this by consuming entire civilizations. Lieutenant Hawthorne's voice came through the tactical channel. Admiral, Coalition sensors are detecting massive energy fluctuations throughout the structure. They know we're here. All vessels, assume attack formation Delta, Chen ordered, her voice calm despite the stakes. Coalition support vessels maintain position behind our defensive line. Remember your training. The Harvester response came swiftly. Dozens of crystal ships detached from the central structure, forming into the precise geometric formations that Hawthorne had predicted based on their communication patterns. They're deploying in tetrahedral attack clusters, Commander Rivera reported from Tactical. Exactly as your simulations projected, Lieutenant. Hawthorne nodded grimly. They're adapting already. The outer vessels are equipped with modified shields. They're expecting our kinetic weapons. Then let's show them something new, Chen replied. Deploy gravity distortion projectiles. The human vessels moved in coordinated patterns that had been practiced exhaustively over the past months. Earth's military academies had been running combat simulations day and night, with coalition observers providing valuable insights into harvester behavior patterns. The UDF Thunder and Lightning accelerated forward, drawing harvester fire while the Defiance moved into optimal firing position. The specialized shells, designed by human weapons engineers using coalition gravitational technology, launched from the main railguns. Upon impact, the projectiles created localized gravity distortions within the crystalline vessels, tearing them apart from the inside. The effect was devastating. Harvester ships collapsed in on themselves as their internal structures were subjected to impossible gravitational stresses. Direct hits on 6 primary targets, Rivera reported. Gravity weapons performing above expected parameters. Zextral's compound eyes widened as he observed the tactical display. Your people adapted our scientific principles into weapons more quickly than our scientists believed possible. Necessity drives innovation, Chen replied, watching as the first wave of harvester ships broke formation, their coordinated attack thrown into disarray. The battle intensified as the harvesters adapted, their remaining vessels adjusting formation to provide mutual support against the gravity weapons. Second and third waves emerged from the central node, their crystalline structures glinting in the light of the dying star. They're attempting to surround us, Hawthorne warned. Numerical advantage is shifting rapidly. Chen nodded. Execute Phase 2. All vessels converge on these coordinates. The human ships executed a maneuver that would have appeared as retreat to untrained observers. The harvesters pursued, exactly as planned, their formations tightening to trap the seemingly fleeing Earth vessels. Harvester Central Node is now exposed, Rivera confirmed. Minimal defensive coverage on the primary coordination nexus. Coalition support vessels confirm optimal targeting solution, Lieutenant Zhang added from communications. Chen exchanged a glance with Zextral, who nodded solemnly. This moment represented everything they had worked toward. Humans providing the military strategy, coalition vessels providing the technological edge. Launch penetrator drones, Chen ordered. From the coalition vessels, specially designed drones accelerated toward the central node. Based on human missile technology, but enhanced with coalition phasing capabilities, they passed directly through the harvester's outer defenses, becoming momentarily intangible before rematerializing inside the structure. The effect was immediate and visible even from their distant position. The central node's coordinated light patterns faltered, sections going dark as the drones disrupted the harvester command system from within. Direct hit on primary coordination nexus, Hawthorne confirmed, unable to hide the triumph in his voice. Harvester fleet communications are fragmenting. The tactical display showed the pursuing harvester vessels suddenly breaking formation, their movements becoming erratic and uncoordinated. And that, Chen said quietly, is why humans always target the command center first. 1 year later, the observation deck of the Luna shipyards offered a spectacular view of Earth rising over the lunar horizon. Admiral Chen stood beside Ambassador Zextral, watching as the UDF Vigilant detached from its construction cradle. The vessel's sleek lines combined the aggressive functionality of human warship design with the organic elegance of coalition engineering. When we first encountered your species, Zextral said, his translator now perfectly calibrated to his speech patterns, we thought those warships represented everything we should fear from the cosmos. Chen smiled slightly. And now the coalition is building their own. Below them in the main assembly hall, coalition engineers worked alongside human military specialists, finalizing the weapon systems for 3 new destroyer-class vessels. The distinctive azure skin of the aliens contrasted with the practical uniforms of the human officers, yet they moved with the synchronized efficiency of a team that had learned to appreciate their differences. The Council has approved the construction of 17 more joint design vessels. Zextrol continued. The Harvester threat remains, but their coordinated operations have decreased by 78% since we destroyed their central node. They're adapting, Chen cautioned. Lieutenant Hawthorne's analysis team intercepted new communication patterns last week. They're developing distributed command systems, learning from their defeat. As we learn from our victories, the ambassador replied. The latest graduates from Earth's Space Force Academy include 23 coalition species. Your military instructors report that some show remarkable aptitude for tactical thinking. The main view screen activated, showing a live transmission from the Galactic Defense Council chambers. The newly formed governing body, created in the aftermath of the Harvester engagement, included representatives from both Earth and the Coalition worlds. Science Director Tilana, now serving as Coalition Defense Coordinator, addressed the assembled delegates. The integration of human military doctrine with coalition technological development has created a defensive capability unparalleled in our shared history, she announced. Today, we commission the first joint patrol fleet that will secure the outer systems against any further Harvester incursion. The camera panned to show the fleet in question. 5 coalition vessels escorting 3 Earth warships, their hulls bearing the new insignia of the Unified Defense Force. Chen's communication device chimed with a private message from Lieutenant Hawthorne, now Commander Hawthorne of Strategic Intelligence. Harvester activity detected in Sector 9. His message read, unusual pattern that doesn't match previous behaviors. Request your presence at command briefing. Duty calls, Chen said to Zextrol with a slight smile. The Harvesters are probing our defenses again. They are persistent, the ambassador agreed. But so are we. As they walked toward the command center, they passed the academy training grounds where a mixed group of human and coalition cadets practiced combat maneuvers. Their instructor, a veteran of the Central Node battle, was demonstrating flanking techniques. When the Harvesters first encountered your warships, they thought they had found an anomaly, Zextrol remarked. A single species that evolved with predatory instincts and a galaxy of cooperative civilizations. And what do they think now? Chen asked. The ambassador's compound eyes reflected the Earth rising above the lunar surface. Now they face a coalition that has learned warfare from the best teachers in the galaxy. You've transformed our understanding of protection. We no longer simply erect barriers. We stand ready to fight for what we cherish. The graduation ceremony below concluded with the new cadets reciting their oath. We stand between the darkness and the light, not because we love war, but because we love what we protect. Chen nodded with satisfaction. That's the point the Harvesters never understood about our warships. We built them because we recognized a fundamental truth that your people are now learning. And what truth is that, Admiral? Zextrol asked. That peace isn't merely the absence of conflict, Chen replied as they entered the command center where the next challenge already awaited. True peace is what you defend with everything you have.